Welcome back to Ancient Egyptian Object Stories. In this episode, we will look at some of my favorite ancient Egyptian objects, the bracelet plaques of Amenhotep III. The collection of objects shown in this episode date to the New Kingdom period of ancient Egypt during the reign of Amenhotep III, who was the 9th king of the 18th dynasty. He is known for having led Egypt through one of its most prosperous periods. He was also the father of the famous king Akhenaten and the grandfather of the even more famous king Tutankhamun. These objects are plaques from bracelets, each referring in some way to Amenhotep III's sed-festival, or jubilee. This festival was generally celebrated in the king's 30th year of rule, and then every 3 or 4 years after this. The plaques are made from carnelian and sard, which are translucent stones of varying shades of red or orange, and it was one of the most popular stones for royal jewelry. These bracelets were no doubt worn by a royal figure, perhaps Amenhotep III himself, or maybe his wife Tiye or one of his daughters. Jewelry from a Middle Kingdom princess's tomb reveals that daughters of the king probably often wore jewelry honoring their father, exemplified here with a pectoral from the burial of Hathor, daughter of Senwosret II. Tiye is the likely owner of these bracelet plaques because she features in the art of most of them, and one of them features only her. This will be discussed a little later. Tiye, who was a non-royal elite woman from the provincial city Akhmim, was Amenhotep III's chief queen, and she was one of the most powerful women in ancient Egypt. She was even well respected internationally. For instance, during the reign of her son Akhenaten, a king from Mitanni, which is modern-day Syria, wrote to her directly to ask her to intervene in his request for gold statues because Akhenaten was ignoring him. Tiye's marriage to Amenhotep III was commemorated on a series of scarab beetles. The king of Upper and Lower Egypt, lord of the two lands, Nebma'at Re, son of Re, Amenhotep, ruler of Thebes given life, and the great king's wife Tiye, may she live. The name of her father is Yuya, the name of her mother is Tuya. She is the wife of a mighty king. His southern boundary reaches to Karoi and the northern to Naharin. This first bracelet plaque features Amenhotep III and Tiye participating in sed-festival rituals, indicated at the bottom of the plaque by the hieroglyph for festival. On the left, Amenhotep III is shown seated bearing the crook and flail insignia of kingship, as well as wearing the white crown signifying Upper Egypt. On the right, he wears the red crown, symbolizing Lower Egypt. Both images together represent his rule over the two lands that make one Egypt, as well as his eternal maintenance of their unity. Tiye, in both scenes, takes the role of a goddess, probably Hathor, offers Amenhotep III his cartouche bearing his throne name Nebma'at Re, as well as a palm rib representing the hieroglyph for year. It symbolizes his coronation and promise that he will have a long reign. On another plaque, Amenhotep III is seated on his throne, protected by Horus, and accompanied by Tiye. Two princesses approach bearing palm ribs, and also the sistrum, which was a rattle associated with the cult of the goddess Hathor. The use of Hathor imagery is meant to reflect the goddess's association with kingship as both his mother and consort, and also even his daughter. Altogether, Hathor's roles ensured that the king lived and ruled for eternity. A third bracelet plaque represents probably Tiye as a composite sphinx and griffin in somewhat unusual imagery. Normally, depiction as a sphinx was reserved for the king. Here, Tiye is possessed of human head with floral crown, wings, and a lion's body. She bears aloft a cartouche containing Amenhotep III's throne name, Nebma'at Re. The imagery demonstrates what scholars now refer to as the international style, which began to appear throughout the Eastern Mediterranean and Near East during the 2nd millennium BC. International style is characterized by a syncretization of Egyptian, Aegean, Levantine, Anatolian, and Near Eastern art, often incorporating such motifs as rosettes, lions hunting antelope, sphinxes and griffins, and cows and bulls. This shared art was one of the results of increased foreign interconnections via trade, diplomacy, and even war. Amenhotep III reigned for approximately 37 years. He died in around 1352 BC, just before the celebration of what would have been his fourth sed-festival. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will join me again for my next ancient Egyptian object story.